The medical bay reeked of antiseptic and failure. I stood there, all four of my limbs trembling, staring at the monitoring screens that painted a rather grim picture. Commander Vrell, the finest tactical officer the Galactic Coalition had ever produced, was dying. His vital signs looked like a bad stock market crash. Plummeting. Erratic. Hopeless. How long? I asked Dr. Kimura, our head physician, though I already knew the answer would make me want to punch something. She didn't even look up from her data pad. 2 hours. Maybe 3 if we're lucky. The toxin has infiltrated his neural pathways. There's nothing we can do, Lieutenant Drax. Nothing. That word hung in the air like a death sentence that I watched Vrell's chest rise and fall in shallow, painful gasps. This wasn't how warriors like him were supposed to go out. Not from some cowardly poison administered during the peace negotiations on Sector 9. He deserved better. We all deserved better. His family. I managed to croak out. En route. They won't make it in time. Of course they wouldn't. Because the universe apparently had a sixth sense of humor. The medical bay doors hissed open, and I turned, expecting maybe another doctor or perhaps the Admiral coming to pay his respects. What I got instead was unexpected. A human child. Now, let me pause here and explain something. Humans had only joined the Coalition about 15 standard cycles ago. They were the newcomers. The oddities. The species that somehow survived on a death world they called Earth, where everything from the weather to the wildlife seemed designed to kill them. We'd all heard the stories, sure, but most of us figured they were exaggerated. This particular human looked maybe, what did they call it? 10, 12 years old. Small. Fragile. Wearing some kind of faded blue garment with strange symbols on it, and carrying a worn satchel. Hey, the kid said, voice clear and completely unbothered by the tension in the room. I heard someone needed help. Dr. Kimura's scales rippled with irritation. Child, this is a restricted area. How did you even get past security? The human shrugged. Your security guy, Torvin? Yeah, he's teaching me chess. I told him it was important. Those strange, forward-facing eyes locked onto Vrell's prone form. That's him, right? The poison one. Listen, small human, I said, trying to sound gentle despite my 3 rows of teeth. This isn't a place for younglings. Commander Vrell is beyond our ability to save. You should go find your parents. Mom's in engineering, fixing your power coupling situation. Dad's negotiating the trade agreements on Deck 7. The kid walked right past us, completely ignoring every protocol in the book. And nobody's beyond saving. That's literally the first lie adults tell themselves to avoid trying harder. I blinked. All 6 of my eyes. One at a time. Excuse me. The human dropped the satchel beside Vrell's bed and started pulling out. Were those plants? Dried leaves? Some kind of crystallized substance that definitely wasn't standard medical supplies. Dr. Kimura's voice rose 3 octaves. What do you think you're doing? Those could be toxic. Contaminated. Completely unsterile. Relax. Document. My grandmother taught me this stuff. She survived the Amazon rainforest and the Siberian winters before we even knew aliens existed. If she could handle Earth, I can handle one little poison. The kid's hands moved with surprising confidence, crushing leaves, mixing compounds, creating something that smelled absolutely dreadful. This is insane, I muttered, but somehow, I didn't stop the child. Maybe I was desperate. Maybe I was curious. Maybe humans were just infectious with their ridiculous optimism. The young one leaned close to Vrell's face, those tiny human fingers brushing against his forehead. The monitoring equipment beeped angrily, erratically, like it was having its own crisis. Then the kid whispered, so soft I almost missed it with my superior auditory receptors. Stay with me, partner. We've got work to do. And I swear on every star in the galaxy. Commander Vrell's eyes flickered open. Just for a second. Just enough to make every logical explanation I had crumble into dust. Dr. Kimura gasped. The monitor stuttered. Changed rhythm. Not much. But enough. The human child smiled. And it was the kind of smile that said they knew something we didn't. Something terrifying and wonderful and completely, utterly human. See? The kid said, already applying the strange mixture to Vrell's temples. Nobody's beyond saving. You guys just give up too easily. I stood there, speechless, watching as this tiny creature from a death world proceeded to do the impossible. And somewhere in my mind, a thought crystallized with uncomfortable clarity. We had severely underestimated humans. The next 20 minutes were absolute madness. Doctor Kimura kept shouting about protocols, contamination risks, and how she was definitely going to report this to every single authority figure she could find. The kid, whose name I finally learned was Tommy, completely ignored her. Just kept working with those small, steady hands like saving dying alien commanders was something humans did every Tuesday afternoon. What exactly is in that mixture? I asked, leaning closer despite my better judgment. The smell was getting worse. Like burnt vegetation mixed with something vaguely medicinal and a hint of what I could only describe as pure determination. Willow bark extract for the pain. Activated charcoal to absorb the toxin. Some concentrated garlic because, yeah, I know it sounds weird, but it's a natural antimicrobial. And this, Tommy held up a small vial of amber liquid, is from a specific tree frog my grandmother collected in Ecuador. Don't ask me how she got it past customs. Grandma didn't really believe in rules. That woman sounds terrifying, I said. She was the best. Tommy's voice went soft for just a moment before snapping back to business mode. Okay, Commander Big Guy, I need you to work with me here. Your immune system is freaking out right now, trying to fight everything at once. We need to calm it down, redirect it, make it focus on the actual problem instead of killing you in the process. Vrell's eyes opened wider this time. Confusion clouded those normally sharp tactical irises. His mouth moved, trying to form words. Don't talk yet, Tommy instructed, with the kind of authority that made even me want to follow orders. Your neural pathways are scrambled. Give the treatment a minute to work. Also, fun fact, did you know human children have been studying alien biology for years? It's like our favorite subject. Well, that and videos of cats doing stupid things, but that's not relevant right now. Dr. Kimura had stopped protesting and started scanning. Her equipment was going absolutely wild, displaying readings that shouldn't have been possible. The toxin levels were dropping. Slowly, painfully slowly, but dropping nonetheless. This is impossible, she whispered, but her scales had shifted from angry red to curious purple. The molecular structure of the poison is breaking down. How? Tommy shrugged again. That universal human gesture that somehow meant everything and nothing. Earth is basically a giant chemistry experiment that's been running for billions of years. We've got plants that can kill you, plants that can cure you, and sometimes they're the same plant depending on how you use them. You learn stuff. Commander Vrell coughed. It was a horrible, wet sound that made everyone in the room flinch. But then he spoke, voice rough as gravel but unmistakably alive. Who? What? Hey there, Commander, Tommy said, grinning like this was the most normal conversation ever. I'm Tommy, human, from Earth. The planet everyone thinks is trying to kill us, which, fair assessment, but we're stubborn. I'm here to make sure you don't die, because apparently your medical team gave up, which is pretty lame if you ask me. I watched Vrell's face cycle through about 17 different emotions. Confusion, disbelief, amusement, pain, more confusion. You should be impossible, he managed to croak out. Yeah, we get that a lot. Tommy was already preparing another application of the mixture. Here's the thing though, Commander. Humans don't really do impossible. We do improbable, unlikely, and occasionally just plain stupid. But impossible? Nah, that's quitter talk. The monitoring equipment was stabilizing now. Not perfect, not even close to normal. But the downward spiral had stopped. Vrell was holding steady, fighting back. Doctor Kimura was frantically taking notes, her multiple appendages working several data pads simultaneously. I need samples. Analysis. The chemical composition of every substance you used. This could revolutionize our entire medical database. Sure, document. Right after we make sure the commander doesn't relapse. Tommy checked Vrell's pulse, the human way, fingers on the wrist. Heartbeat stronger. That's good. Your species has 3 hearts, right? Making sure all of them are on the same page is tricky, but I think we're getting there. How did you know? I asked, genuinely baffled now. About the 3 hearts? About the specific neural pathways of his species? You're a child. Those human eyes fixed on me, and for just a second, I saw something ancient there. Something that transcended age. I'm a human child, Lieutenant. We grow up watching nature documentaries, reading everything we can find, and learning that knowledge is literally the difference between life and death. My great-great-grandmother survived the Irish potato famine. My grandfather escaped a war zone with nothing but wit and determination. My mom rebuilt an entire ship engine with spare parts and determination. We remember. We learn. We adapt. Tommy turned back to Vrell, adjusting something in the mixture. Plus, I really like aliens. You guys are cool. Way more interesting than most humans, honestly. And I figured if we're going to be part of this whole galactic coalition thing, we should probably make ourselves useful. Vrell laughed. Actually laughed. It turned into another cough, but there was life in that sound. Real, genuine life. You saved me, he said, wonder creeping into his voice. With plants and, what did you call it? Frog juice. Tree frog secretion, technically. And yeah, basically. Tommy packed up the satchel. You're not out of danger yet. The next 6 hours are critical. But if you keep fighting, and if your doctors actually pay attention to what I just did instead of dismissing it, because it came from a kid, you'll probably live to see tomorrow. 6 hours later, Commander Vrell was sitting up in bed, demanding food and complaining about the medical bay's temperature settings. I had never been so happy to hear someone complain in my entire military career. The medical bay had transformed into something resembling controlled chaos. Dr. Kimura had assembled her entire research team, all of them studying Tommy's treatment methods like they were ancient sacred texts. Which, in a way, I suppose they were. Earth knowledge passed down through generations, surviving wars and disasters, and whatever else that nightmare planet threw at its inhabitants. Tommy sat in a chair that was way too big, legs swinging freely, munching on something called a granola bar while answering questions from scientists who had decades more education and experience. So the key is understanding that organic compounds can work synergistically, the kid explained, somehow making complex biochemistry sound like basic math. Your medical technology is amazing, don't get me wrong. But sometimes you overthink things. Sometimes the answer isn't in creating something new. It's in using what already exists in nature, what's been tested through millions of years of evolution. One of the junior medical officers, a timid fellow named Prill, raised a tentacle hesitantly. But how did you know it would work on Commander Vrell's physiology? The risk of cross-species contamination alone should have been what? Fatal? He was already dying. Tommy's voice wasn't harsh, just matter of fact. Look, I studied your biological databases. Spent about 3 months learning everything I could about coalition species. Yeah, there was risk. But doing nothing was a 100% guaranteed bad outcome. Trying something had at least a chance. Humans are really good at calculating odds and then ignoring them when the stakes are high enough. Vrell beckoned me over with one weakened hand. His color had returned mostly, that healthy purple-gray his species was known for. The poison hadn't been completely eliminated, but it had been reduced to manageable levels. His own immune system was finishing what Tommy had started. Lieutenant Drax, he said, voice still rough, but infinitely better than the death rattle from before. I believe I owe that small human my life. You absolutely do, sir. The child's parents. Have they been informed? Tommy's mother nearly broke down the door when she heard. She was ready to fight everyone in the medical bay until she saw you were stable. Then she just hugged Tommy for about 5 minutes straight while crying. Very emotional species, humans. Vrell smiled, showing his own impressive array of teeth. Emotional. Reckless. Brilliant. I'm beginning to understand why Command was so interested in forming an alliance with Earth. Sir, permission to speak freely? Granted. We've been absolute fools. I gestured around the medical bay, at all the advanced technology that had failed where a human child with plants and knowledge succeeded. We thought we were bringing humans into the coalition to help them, to protect them, to guide them. But they're not the ones who need guidance. No, Vrell agreed quietly. They're not. Tommy had finished with the scientists and was heading toward the door, satchel slung over one small shoulder. I intercepted the kid before leaving. Tommy, thank you. That seems inadequate, but thank you. The human looked up at me with those forward-facing predator eyes that somehow conveyed nothing but warmth. You're welcome, Lieutenant. Just remember something, okay? Humans might be new to space. We might seem small and fragile and weird. But we've been surviving impossible situations on the most hostile planet in known space since before we had written language. We've got instincts, knowledge, and stubbornness that your species never needed to develop because you evolved on easier worlds. Is that a threat? I asked, amused despite myself. Nah, it's a promise. We're allies now. Partners. And humans don't abandon their partners. Ever. No matter how bad things get. No matter what the odds say. We stay. We fight. We find solutions nobody else thought of because we're used to having literally everything trying to kill us on a daily basis. The kid held out one tiny hand. I looked at it, confused. It's a handshake, Tommy explained patiently. Human gesture. Means agreement. Friendship. Trust. Come on, Lieutenant. Don't leave me hanging. I extended one of my larger appendages and carefully enclosed that small human hand. The grip was surprisingly strong. Stay with me, partner, Tommy said, echoing those words whispered to Vrell hours ago. That's the human way. We don't believe in leaving people behind. We don't believe in impossible. We just believe in trying one more time than everyone else thinks is reasonable. The kid left then, probably off to cause more chaos or teach more alien security officers strange human games or whatever it was human children did when they weren't casually saving lives. Dr. Chimera appeared beside me, her scales now a bright, excited gold. Lieutenant, the implications of this treatment protocol are staggering. If we can integrate human medical knowledge with our technology, we could revolutionize emergency response across the entire coalition. That child just changed everything. That child, I corrected gently, just reminded us what we'd forgotten. That sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones. That experience and knowledge passed through generations have value. That underestimating someone based on age or species or origin is the fastest way to miss something extraordinary. I looked back at Commander Vrell, who was now arguing cheerfully with the nurses about when he could return to duty. Alive, vibrant, saved by a human child with plants and determination. The galaxy had just gotten a lot more interesting. And somewhere out there, on that impossible death world called Earth, millions more humans were growing up with that same knowledge, that same stubbornness, that same absolute refusal to accept defeat. The other species in the coalition were warriors, scientists, diplomats, and traitors. Humans were survivors. And we had just learned the hard way that sometimes a survivor was exactly what you needed. I smiled, feeling something like hope mixed with healthy respect and maybe just a touch of fear. The good kind of fear. The kind that kept you sharp. Welcome to the coalition, humanity. Things were about to get very, very different. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.